Okay, so we've now seen how we can anonymize an entire piece of audio by bringing the pitch down, but there are times when you might need to anonymize just a portion of a piece of audio, either within a piece of audio that you've already down-pitched or just on its own. And you may need to do this if, for example, somebody says a name or a place or something that you just don't want your audience knowing about. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, for the purposes of this tutorial, I happen to know that in this piece of audio, Charles mentions he mentions at several points that he used to be at the University of Lancaster. I've said it. But let's say, for example, that we didn't want the audience to know that he'd been at the University of Lancaster. How would we anonymize that? Well, very, very simple. First of all, we've got to zoom in, because I know, because I've been through and taken notes, that Charles says he mentions the University of Lancaster at 20 seconds, 37 seconds, and 51 seconds. So let's zoom in and find the 20 seconds one first. Okay, so yeah, around there, and I think this is it here. Let me just isolate that just by left-clicking and highlighting. Let's just try.
At Lancaster University.
Lancaster University. Sorry, I think I called it the University of Lancaster before. Lancaster University, and yeah, so I think that part is the at, and then the rest is Lancaster University. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to isolate this second part where he actually says the name of the university. So we'll do that first of all. Try and get it right. Although I don't know why I'm being so precise. It's just a tutorial. So yeah, get that. Yeah, that looks about right. And then what we want to do is we want to use the other settings in Audacity to create something that's going to cover that up in some way. And there are a few ways of doing this. I'll show you the classic one first, which is to use a bleep, or a tone as it's called in Audacity. So if we go up to generate here, go down to tone, left click, and I find that these settings work quite well for a tone. I think the default amplitude in Audacity tends to be a bit higher. It might even be 0.8, but the problem with 0.8, if I just do that quickly, see how loud that is. If you have that in the middle of an otherwise quiet piece of audio, your audience are going to be jumping out of their seats. So you do not want to be adding jump scares to your presentation. I think that 0.2 is perfectly fine, and if I just do that now... It sounds like quite a long university name when it's obscured. Interesting. But yes, so that is the classic way of doing it, and that is the way that I would typically use. But there are other things that you can generate to go in that spot. So I'm just, incidentally, when I'm undoing there, so let me just redo and then undo. So if so I'm undoing there just to go back to how it was. So what else can we generate? Well, we can also generate a noise, so we can generate some white noise. Or we can generate pink noise or Brownian noise or whatever we want to. So I will, I think 0.2 again is about right. Let's try that. No, I don't like that one personally. It sounds very, very abrasive, and I don't like that one. But it may be, you may like it. It may work for you. And these are all, of course, settings that you can play around with. I mean, once you've highlighted what it is you need to get rid of, you can do all sorts of little tricks to try and get rid of it. I'll try just a few more, so you can just generate a silence, but this never sounds quite right to me. Again, it sounds a bit abrupt, but let's try it. No, I'd still prefer the tone. And you can also, some people would say you would use reverse, the reverse function here in effect, which reverses the words. So let's try that one. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good one. The only problem with that one is that it doesn't take it out of the audio entirely. So it could theoretically be unscrambled if someone were to get hold of it and de-reverse it, re-reverse it. I'm not sure what that would be. So it could theoretically be unscrambled, but it might be okay for certain settings. And there are more complex things that one can do with scrambling and things in Audacity. But personally, I like to go with the classic tone. I think it's a classic for a reason, the old bleep. It's become a classic for a reason. So I'll just do that one there, and I'll just skip along and very quickly do the others for the sake of completion. So I think there's another one around 37. Let's try that.
But I was lucky at Lancaster.
I think it's around here. I don't need to be that precise, do I?
Lancaster.
Yeah, that'll do. So generate tone. And of course you could do this with anything that you need to remove, and I think there's another one around 51
Professional
seconds.
social psychology at Lancaster.
Oh, that's a nice one because it's completely isolated. Tone. And there we go. So that is, I've now removed all references to Lancaster, and the video and the audio is now ready to be reattached to the video.